Tonight, House Bill 120 passes. What states have already come forward to oppose it and designate themselves as Second Amendment sanctuary states? Is that legal? And how will the feds enforce this if it becomes law? We'll discuss. Now that Biden's in office, what's his plan for COVID? People seem to still be getting sick. Mortality has hit 500,000 and California is opening even though there's a spike. What's the difference between what the new administration is doing as opposed to the last administration? If you're a creator, producer, or musical talent and would like us to have you on our show, Leland Freeman is thawed out. Alexander Lee is driving the boat. The studio got it. I'm Mike Allen. This is the Radio Man Cave, and you are now on the air. The views and opinions on the Air with Mike Allen show do not reflect the views and opinions of other shows associated with Fort Kick-Ass Productions. This show is not suitable for viewers under the age of 18. Viewer discretion. So my question here is, how much are politically motivated? We've reached the 500,000 mark as far as people that have been reported to have been passed away from COVID. Biden had a plan. He said, we have a plan, and he wasn't going to tell us until he got elected. And, he's been elected, and now basically can't really do nothing about it but get vaccinated and let it run its course. So that was his plan. So great plan, I guess. But we're going to talk about that. To my right, Leland Freeman. And in the Radio Man Cave, producing the show, Alexander Lee. And, of course, the ever-present, omnipresent Mad Mike. Welcome to the show, guys. All right. Sorry about the mics not being turned on. All right, I have in front of me House Bill 127. Said the audio isn't on. Hey, Alex? I can't hear you. Now I can hear you.
All right.
Is the audio fixed?
Your janky-ass, dumbass fucking internet problems with streaming here, so I'm trying to focus on that. So sorry about the audio.
Oh, we can't fix that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's on Spectrum.
I don't know if we're watching it.
So my whole monologue, just out that brilliant monologue.
Yeah, it's probably all jumpy and shit.
That I practiced forever.
That I didn't interrupt.
Yeah. Well,
So do
you
we
come
have
in here,
do we have audio
it's
now?
8:59. By the way, the internet's not doing a great job.
No, well,
like, oh,
we have no control over the internet, but we have control over the audio.
Yeah, well.
You didn't hit the little thing, did you? that we forget, that we both forget, that I forget?
No, I didn't. Probably because
So we
I was
have
trying
audio
to figure
now.
out why
Do we
we
have
kept
audio
getting
now?
disconnected, and I was trying to keep us from getting disconnected.
Do we have
from the
audio
stream.
now?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Patty's here. Patty, hopefully you brought some headphones. All right, I have in front of me the HR 127. That was been presented to the 117th Congress, which is now in session. And this is the bill. We're going to go through this bill. I read it, and I don't see this bill passing. I just don't, because this basically punishes every gun owner out there and will do nothing to keep guns out of the hands of the people that at all. So here we go. Oh, now it's on. Okay. So the bill, HR 127. And Mike, you had some other ones too, right?
House Bill 8.
Is he paying attention? Does he have his headphones in?
Yeah, there are two others that I think they're going to try to actually move on possibly next coming week.
Can't hear you.
All right, you there?
Ah, there we are.
All right.
Yeah, no.
Just so you know what I'm dealing with over here on the screen is that it keeps saying no data. This stream will end shortly.
Okay,
All
I've got the stream going on my
Okay.
thing out here.
All right.
So I think we're good.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, there's...
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I didn't say you didn't know what you were doing. Now stop taking it so personal.
I'm just over here sitting in the back seat. How the hell does cars drive? I don't know.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know.
Shave the beard.
All right, and what were the other two, Mike? I'm sorry.
HR 8 and HR 1112. One of them basically is for outright banning private sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is for changing up the background check process to possibly make it super long. And on top of that, you know, like no matter what, mandatory waiting periods and even further background checks, you know, which even another way that
was
going to slow it down.
Yeah, that was the last Congress had HR 8.
Was that also from Sheila Jackson Lee?
That's still up right now.
127 is the one that requires psych evals for every gun owner.
HR 127 is the one that's up. So
That's the one that was reduced.
yeah, because this one, this one's still up on the calendar technically.
Let's see. Go all the way to the final.
Now,
So the HR 8, the final thing was 1/8 of 2000. That's when it was introduced. Hold on. Wrong way.
Now, Davis, is this one of the bills that requires 60 votes to pass the Senate or just a simple majority?
I'm not sure.
Because that's how
Well,
this type
nothing
of
has been done with HR 8 for 2 years.
Yeah.
So
3/4
dead.
of 2019 was the
It's-
last time they had any entries on it.
Yeah,
that
it's
was
still sitting. So.
it was read the second time, placed on Senate legislative calendar under General Orders calendar number 29. So
all the
but that's the last time. What was the other one? HR what?
It's 1112. It's the same thing. They were introduced and they're just waiting.
all
or to have a
pending
hearing
bills
for it.
from the previous Congress that didn't make it out of both chambers have to be refiled every time there's a new Congress, which is every 2 years.
Yeah. So
To require
We'll see.
HR 1112 was to require a report on the military coup in Burma.
yeah, that's the wrong one there.
That's the wrong one. The one that's the newest, and the
Yeah.
freshest off the
And that
press
one's-
for the
that one's
118th
horrible.
or 117th Congress, HR
Horrible.
127. So let's go through this. To provide the licensing of firearms and ammunition possession, and for the registration of firearms, and to prohibit the possession of certain ammunition. It's to be enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives, United States of America, Congress assembled. This act may be cited as the Shabika Sheikh Firearm Licensing and Registration Act. And I apologize if somebody gets on Google, who is that person and why is their name on this? Firing and Licensing and Registration System. Jump on your phones when I just asked you to Google that name.
I'm gonna need you to spell that, or just there
Or
we
just
go.
Use the voice recognition, but
In general, Chapter 4 States Code is amended by adding the following. licensing of a firearm and ammunition possession and registration of firearms. In general, the Attorney General, through the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF, shall establish licensing and possession of firearms and ammunition in the United States, and for the registration of the Bureau, with the Bureau, each firearm present in the United States. So basically, you have to register every single firearm in the United States. Good luck with that, by the way.
So what they're trying, every single firearm.
Every firearm in the United States has to be
NFA,
registered. So,
I found it.
so go ahead. What
All
is it?
right. So basically, it's just the name. It's the name of
God damn it.
one of the bystanders that was killed in Santa Fe, Texas. It was during the Santa Fe shooting. It was a Pakistani student.
Okay, so that's who it's named after.
That's who it's named after.
All right.
And the other thing too, with registering each of the firearms under
Well,
we'll get to that. Okay.
let me read the bill. I actually have the bill right here in my hand.
Okay.
We don't
He's
need
prepared.
we don't need to speculate or go into
Well, I was going to say the $200 tax stamp.
firearm registration system. Required information. Under the firearms registration system, the owner of a firearm shall transmit to the Bureau the make, model, and serial number of the firearm, identify the owner of the firearm, the date the firearm was acquired by the owner, and where the firearm is and will be stored, and a notice specifying the identity of any person to whom in any period of time during which the firearms will be loaned to the person. Deadline for supplying information. The transmission required by paragraph 1 shall be. So basically, breaking that down is if Patty here wants to take my shotgun out and shoot Clay, and wants to borrow my shotgun, that he is borrowing my shotgun, the time that he borrowed it, and when he's going to return it.
Are we talking like exact time here?
Exact time.
dates.
That's
Yeah.
Gardo.
Exact dates.
And you have to wait for a response from the Bureau?
In case of
Yes.
firearm acquired before the effective date of this section, 3 months after the effective date of this section, or, deadline for supplying. So the transmission required by the paragraph 1 shall be made in the case of firearms acquired before the effective date of this section within 3 months after the effective date of this section. So you have 3 months to register all your firearms. In the case of firearms acquired on or after the effective date, the owner acquires a firearm. Section 3, database in general. The Attorney General shall establish and maintain a database of all firearms registered pursuant to this subsection. Access. The Attorney General shall make the database accessible to all members of the public. So if I want to know how many guns you have, all I have to do is go to this database and the firearm that you've registered with the state.
So you know who to rob, pretty much.
Exactly.
And who to not rob.
And who do not rob.
Yeah.
That's true.
Davis is just like, bring it.
Does that include
Accessible
every...
all members of the state and local law enforcement authorities and all branches of the United States Armed Forces and all state and local governments as defined. Basically, you register your firearm and everybody has access to know how much you have and what you have.
Does that include ammunition or just the firearms?
Would you... I mean, I got the bill right here in front of me, man.
Hold on.
Why don't you answer
Holy
his
Yeah.
question?
shit.
Just keep reading.
Scoot down
oh,
a wee bit.
I'm gonna...
Let my legs breathe. There we go.
I'm gonna keep reading here. Requirements, except otherwise provided by this subsection, the Attorney General shall issue an individual a license to possess a firearm and ammunition if the individual has attained the age of 21 years and after applying for the license undergoes a criminal background check conducted by the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which already happens, established under subsection 103 of the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, and the check does not indicate that the possession of a firearm by the individual would violate subsection G or N of section 922, where state law basically you're not a felon. Or you're not a felon. Undergo a psychological evaluation conducted in accordance with paragraph 2, and the evaluation does not indicate that the individual is psychologically unsuited to possess a firearm. That's the first place they're going to get you.
They're going to say we're all nuts.
Exactly, because it's all
Subjective.
subjective. successfully completes a training course certified by the Attorney General in the use, safety, and storage of firearms that include at least 24 hours of training, and demonstrates that on issuance of a license, the individual will have, in effect, an insurance policy issued under the subsection. Antique firearm display. The Attorney General shall issue an individual a license to display an antique firearm in a residence of the individual if the individual is a holder of a license under the previous paragraph, supplies proof that the individual owns the antique firearm, describes the manner in which the firearm will be displayed in accordance with regular, and certifies that the firearms will be so displayed. So basically you have to prove, I guess, by pictures of where you're hanging this
Nice.
World War Japanese rifle that Grandpa brought back from the Pacific.
I think it also goes to ball and cap at black powder. Is that true?
It just says firearm.
It says antique firearm.
It just says, yeah.
Antique firearm under the definition is anything made
Pre-1899.
1899.
Nice. So your Winchester,
Yeah.
1897.
So the 1897 shotgun you just...
I would have to register
Or
Yeah.
really?
reproductions.
Okay.
for a display.
For display.
Or reproductions that you can get at Cabela's.
Yeah. So it's pretty
Well,
ridiculous.
Well,
Continue.
these are weapons, even if they're, I believe these are weapons that you can't even shoot anymore. They're just on display, but you have to register them.
Like even if the barrels are just completely filled with lead and
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah, it's a weapon in your home, so you have to
Yeah, I
register
mean, you
it.
might try to club someone over the head with it.
Absolutely.
Keep going. It gets better.
Oh, it gets great.
Oh my.
Describes in a manner, displayed, okay. Demonstrates that the individual has provided for storage of the firearm in a safe facility approved by the Attorney General for storage of firearms. So basically, I don't know how they're going to force this other than it has to come to your house and inspect where you are going to store your weapons and approve it. So these are all things that you will have. Basically, this whole bill, as we go through, you will see that this is basically making owning a firearm so convenient for a lawful citizen that they'll just say, screw it and not do it, or become unlawful. Military-style weapons. This is where it gets good. Military-style weapons license, which means now you have a license to own a firearm. You have to get another license if you own a military-style firearm.
Now, what's considered military style?
Shape.
The Attorney General shall issue an individual license to own and possess a military-style weapon if the individual is a holder of a license issued under subsection A, so this is the second license, after applying for a license under this subparagraph, successfully completes a training course certified by the General in the use, safety, and storage of the weapon. That includes 24 hours of training. So that's now 48 hours of total training just to own a military-style weapon.
Well, to be fair, I probably had that much by the time I was like 17 years old. So.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Pretty much. But see, this is just another. But
Is
this
it
has
over
to
the-
be.
over
Be an
the years
ATF
kind of
approved.
thing?
This can't be haphazard. Getting training from parents and friends and go to the range. This has to be 24 hours. So basically, that'd break down into what, 3 days of training that you have to go to a classroom and to a range to all this stuff.
So it's like they want to force people who have the inclination to do this to go get legitimate paramilitary style training.
Well, just in the use of the weapon, how to clean it, how to
Yeah.
shoot it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just imagine a bunch of carbine classes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's like, oh, hold on, wait a minute. We didn't think this through. What, there's a Bitcoin fund account for all Americans? What is to get their firearms?
I guess. This is going to be very expensive. Be even more expensive if you don't comply.
Yeah.
A psychological evaluation is conducted in accordance with the graph. So you have you got your license. You went through your training. You now have a license to own a firearm. If you'd like to own a military-style firearm, you have to get an additional license, plus go through another psychological evaluation. The evaluation is conducted in compliance with the standards shall be established by the Attorney General. This is basically cut and paste. The evaluation conducted by a licensed psychiatrist and approved by the licensed psychologist involved. The evaluation included a psycho evaluation of other members of the household in which the individual resides. So not only
does the license holder have to be evaluated? If you have a wife and kids, they too have to be evaluated. As part of the psychological evaluation, this is a good part. Individual, any former spouse of the individual, and at least 2 other persons who are a member of the family of or an associate of the individual to further determine the state of the mental, emotional, and harms. So
We are all fucked.
if ex-husband will be part of the evaluation process, and let's face it, the ex-husband or
How
ex-husband.
that works with, like,
They're just like, I mean, if I divorce this person, then we have to go through all this process again. Yeah, we're just gonna stay married so I can keep my firearms.
Here's the thing too,
Keep 'em,
and it
just to
keeps
keep
getting better.
Thousands
I
of
know.
dollars.
This is like the first chapter where they're building up to the whole thing here. Denial of license. The Attorney General shall deny a license to an
going.
I am. This is getting good. It's like
So much
there's
more.
so
This
much
isn't even
more.
its final form yet.
And the ghost of Billy.
Substance within the meaning of the Controlled Substances Act or alcohol, or has attempted to commit suicide, or has prior psychological treatment evaluation of the individual indicated that the individual engaged in the conduct posed a threat to self or others.
And,
Well,
No,
Willie,
no, let's just put a Band-Aid over the issue, and that'll solve everything.
well, see, and I'll get into after I get done reading it why I don't think this will fly, because people want to get reelected in this, and you have to think about the enforcement stuff, but we'll get to that. In general, a license issued under this subsection to an individual who is under indictment for a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year, so Class B misdemeanor, is hereby suspended. So basically, Class B misdemeanors and above.
so if you have a DWI, you're screwed. Or like
Something
I
as
said, a bar fight.
simple as if you
anything-
steal what I did when I stole that $400 iPod, which
yeah, that's-
it was under $500. It's a Class B misdemeanor. Granted, I didn't do jail time or anything; it was expunged. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to own a
You would
firearm.
not- You're right. You're out.
The dumbest part of that story is that you got like an iPhone. Like,
Yeah, I got an iPhone the week after.
Yeah, and you got an iPhone. You
Yeah,
know,
but I
at
mean,
least get an Android.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Androids don't track shit.
All right, keep going.
Keep
All right,
going.
here we go. The Attorney General may suspend a license issued.
No, you're
Yeah, it's on.
That's still good.
you're
Okay.
still good.
All right.
sorry, Patrick's
is-
mic was
yours
like
is really
super
loud.
loud. Yeah,
Sorry.
so I was
These
like,
are sensitive, so you don't have to, jam in.
I
there
don't need a
jam
pull
in
a
there like you
Leland.
need new shoes.
Yeah.
what?
Well, turn mine up a little bit because I'm not right on top of it.
Okay.
It's the third one, third
That's what she
slider.
No, you're good right there.
All right. The Attorney General may suspend a license issued under the subsections to an individual who has violated Section 922 in the most recent 12-month period. So basically, if you've gotten arrested for anything within a year, he can revoke your license. Revocation of license. A licensee issued under this subsection to an individual who is or becomes prohibited by federal or state law from possessing firearm is hereby revoked. Such an individual shall render all firearms and ammunition owned or possessed by the individual to the Attorney General. Expiration of license. The license issued to an individual under the subsection shall expire in the case of the license that has been in effect for less than 5 years, 1 year after the issuance or renewal, as the case may be, or in the case of a license that has been in effect for at least 5 years, 3 years after the most recent date of the license renewal. Renewal of the license. You renew a license issued to the individual under this subsection if the individual requests the renewal by the end of the 60-day period that begins with the date that the license expires. In the 3-year period ending within the renewal as requested, has met the requirements of paragraphs. Basically, you have to go through all the psychological shit again, and now have been arrested for Class B misdemeanor or above, has successfully completed a training course certified by the Attorney General in the use, safety, and storage of the firearm. So you have to do an additional 24 hours to renew your license after you went through the training to get your license,
So 48 if
which
you want the
includes
military
but it's
style.
only 8 hours.
Oh, lovely.
So to renew it, it's an 8-hour. So it's a 1-day course.
How long?
Meets the requirements of paragraph, meets all the other requirements. Basically, your ex-wife's still not mad at you, or ex-husband's not mad at you. In the cases of a license issued under paragraph 1C, in the 2-year period ending with the date the renewal is requested and successfully completed a training course certified by the Attorney General that includes at least 8 hours of training in the use of the weapon subject to the license. So, if you own a military-style weapon and you want to renew your license, you have to pay for the license, pay for the 8-hour training to get the renewal of your firearms license, and then pay an additional fee for the military-style weapon license and go through an additional 8 hours to renew that license.
Every 2 years.
Have you ever gone to
about every 3 years.
Have you ever gone to a new range? Like you've been shooting for years, right?
Yeah.
Decades. For me,
kinda
decades. Have you ever gone to like a new range and you have to sit down and watch their safety video and you're like, yes, I know. Yes, I know.
But
I'm aware.
It's usually well, you have to fill out a safety questionnaire, and that's for insurance purposes, and I get that.
Oh yeah. That's true. It's not all ranges that you have to watch a safety video.
Yeah.
The really nice ones you have to watch one.
Yeah,
Which is understandable.
yeah, it's for insurance purposes.
I have a
They
question.
have, they have to be able to
Totally
say,
get that.
yeah, when you
But feeling
oh, go ahead.
towards them is still the same.
Yeah,
I have a question.
sure, go ahead, Patty.
So, what happens if I'm a criminal and I obtain a firearm illegally, and I just think this whole thing is
Well,
a
then
bunch
you
of
break
nonsense?
the law.
Well,
You're a
here-
bad
I
person.
mean,
Well, then
if
you're
you would
law
keep
breaking.
going,
And you will recognize that
Yeah,
and
here-
not break the law anymore.
Yeah.
just keep going because this is like now we start getting into the spicy.
Now we're
stuff.
getting. Oh yeah.
So just
I've
hurry
read
up.
this whole thing.
Is this, when
gets
is
great.
this when like the 2 a.m. coffee starts kicking in? You're like, man, I'm in this, but I'm ready.
Yeah, just once you get to the other parts.
See,
they're,
now we're
like,
getting in.
super
Now we're
fucked up.
getting
Just like
into
chewing on coffee grounds. Just
Yeah, put it in your lip like tobacco.
Start reading it.
Firearms insurance. Now we get into the fun stuff. And this is where all the money comes. The Attorney General shall issue to any person who has applied for a license pursuant to the subsection C and has paid the Attorney General for the fee specified in paragraph 2, basically all the fees and classes of this subsection, a policy that insures the person against liability for losses resulting from the use of any firearm or the person during the 1-year period that begins from the date of the yearly policy to own a firearm that you have to pay, I guess, every year. The fee specified in this paragraph is $800 a year for your insurance
What?
per firearm license.
That's only $80 a month.
So $1,600.
Firearm license, so that's $1,600
Yep.
Oh my god.
per year. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Most car insurance isn't
Hold
even
on.
remotely that expensive.
Military-style weapons defined. See subsection 921A of such title amended by. I know this is like reading stereo instructions, but this is actually pretty freaking intense. The term military, because I would like to know what a military-style weapon
Yeah,
is.
is a 1911 a military-style weapon?
Exactly. I mean, it was carried by the military. How about a Beretta 9mm? Is that a
Any
military-style
military-
weapon?
Just read, damn it.
Okay, sorry.
Or any M&P?
The term military-style weapon means any of the firearms or copies or duplicates of the firearms in any caliber known as Norinko, Mitchell, and Polytechnics Automat Kalashnikov, AK-47s. Action Armis Israeli Military Industries Uzi and Galil. Beretta AR-70. Colt AR-15. Fabrique Nationale, because I just like saying it, or the FN FAL,
Hey, you leave that
LAR or FNC weapons.
All right, if you can afford an FNC, you can more than likely afford these licenses. all right?
They're like, I'm good.
SWD M10, M11, M11/9, and M12. The Steiger AUG, which is a pretty sweet weapon. Intratec Tech 9. Oh, man, they went after the Tech 9, man. Dude.
Tech 9s are... Wow, Leland, right when I said Tech 9s are sweet, you dick.
Yeah, just throw it in there.
That's not even what I thought of, you fucking...
Tech DC9 and Tech 22 and revolving cylinder shotguns, a bayonet mount. Well, damn.
Did it say conspicuously?
Conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon.
Conspicuously.
I know. You can tell a non-gun person wrote this. A flash suppressor or threaded barrel designed to accommodate a flash suppressor and a grenade. A semi-automatic pistol that has the ability to accept a detachable magazine and has at least 2 of an ammunition magazine that attaches to the pistol outside of the pistol grip, Tech 9. The threaded barrel capable of accepting a barrel extender, flash suppressor, forward hand grip, or silencer. A shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel shooter to hold the firearm with the non-trigger hand without being burned.
So basically, the AR pistols, pretty much.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep.
Without being burned.
Without being
I mean, if you know how to hold one properly, you're not gonna.
You have to remember, give you also more thrust per squeeze.
True.
Which is
burns.
Which is one of the things that was said by.
Oh my God!
Keep going.
This is
Crazy.
a manufacturer. I know this is nuts.
We're at that point where they're just like stuffing coffee beans in their
Yeah,
in
they're
their
just
ears
throwing
and
shit
their
in here.
nose.
A manufactured weight of 50 ounces or more when the pistol is unloaded, and a semi-automatic version of an automatic firearm, and a semi-automatic shotgun that has at least 2 of a folding stock or telescoping stock. I'm out. A pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon.
I'm out.
Strike 2. A fixed magazine capacity of the excess of 5 rounds. I'm out.
That's
That's
that's everything. We
That's
just come-
basically
anything that's not muzzle loader, pretty much.
the ability to accept a detachable magazine. Valid license under section 9. Owned by the person, the firearm is registered to the person under subsection 932B, or the firearm is so registered to such other person and has notified the Attorney General that the firearm has been loaned to the person and that the possession during the loan period specified in the notice.
And these are the same people that
It
don't.
shall be unlicensed under section 932C-1. Shall be unlawful for a person to sell or give a firearm or ammunition to another person unless the person has notified the Attorney General of ammunition to another person unless.
So basically, what you're saying here is, let's say if we're all at the, did you fill out all the paperwork needed?
Is issued under section 932C-1 to transfer a firearm to an individual who has not attained 18 years of age. Let me read that again. It shall be unlawful for a person holding a valid license issued under section 932C-1 to transfer a firearm to an individual who has.
But also, if you're in the military, because
For people that doesn't want to have photo ID to vote and wants to lower the voting age.
Okay,
to
before we
16.
go down your train track of crazy, let's get back on here. Okay?
shut up.
We're talking about guns here.
We can touch on that later about the voting age being 16. I do have an interesting, maybe a what's it called, a counter, maybe not a clause, but sorry, can't remember the word right now.
Okay. Well, you think of the word, and I'll keep going.
Yeah.
It shall be unlawful for a person holding a valid license under the section. Okay, I just read that. A person who possesses a firearm
Compromise.
or to whom a license is issued under section 932C-1 shall have, in effect, an insurance policy issued under section 932D. Penalties. You've been waiting for this, right? Penalties?
I'm just,
You've been holding your tongue waiting
or is that
per violation. So if you own a firearm that's not registered, if you don't renew your license and you don't turn in your firearms, if you own ammunition that you haven't reported to Attorney General, if I loan him a firearm and don't return it to the Attorney General, any violation of that subsection, that's the fees and fines.
Yeah.
And
So basically, we go to
consequences.
the range, you let me go shoot your pistol and don't
they
fill it out.
basically use this excuse to
You get-
arrest everybody and throw them in prison.
Whoever
for-
they got to keep the prison complex full since they're legalizing marijuana.
keep going.
Whoever knowingly violates section 922B1 shall be fined not less than $50,000, more than $75,000, not less than 10 years in prison, or more than 15 years, or both. Whoever knowingly violates, basically, that's the not licensing for
Standard or
the military. The military. Then whoever knowingly violates Section 922B2, that's the one where
Yeah.
it's the same thing. $50,000, 5 to 10 years. Whoever knowingly violates 922B3, $5,000, $10,000, no jail time. Whoever knowingly violates Section 922B4 shall be fined not less than $75,000 and not more than $100,000, imprisoned for not less than 15 years, not more than 25 years or both, except that if the transgresses, this is when you sell a firearm, or uses the firearm during or relation to a crime, the unintentional shooting or suicide, the transfer not less than $100,000. So if I sell you a gun and you shoot yourself in the foot, I can get fined $100,000.
Even if you you went through all the classes.
And there's no
It doesn't
time
matter.
limits.
It doesn't
And there's
matter.
and there's no time limit.
It doesn't matter.
So it's the kind of thing that's like if you sell the gun to someone and then 20 years later they stole the gun, you're going, oh my.
So basically, you violate any of these stuff, it's anywhere between $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, 10 to 20 years in jail.
Which means every gun store is going to go belly up because they
Pretty much. No one's going to want. Why
no
go
one's
through
gonna
all
wanna
this
sell
shit?
one. Yeah, all the gun stores are going to shut.
The only
down.
people that are going to have guns are people that don't give a shit about this stuff. And elimination of prohibition of establishment of a centralized firearm registration system. Okay, now we get into how they're going to register. Of such a title is amended by strict. What we got going on here?
Patrick, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, don't hold the transmitter over the phone.
All right, there you go. Where am I at? Such a title amended by striking the second sentence. Okay. Application to governmental and military firearms and ammunition. Section 925A of such title is amended. Okay, they're going through some amendments here that were already put in there that I read. They're just documenting it here. Okay, prohibition on possession of certain ammunition. Now we're getting into the freedom seeds. Section 922 of Title 18 United States Code, as amended by Section 2 of this Act, is amended by adding the following. Shall be unlawful for any person to possess ammunition that is a .50 caliber or greater. Well, God.
That's all shotgun cells, pretty much, right?
No, .50 caliber. Shotgun shells are not a caliber. I mean, they're calibers, but they're not
It's like for a
for rifles.
So
Yeah, but they could technically rule slugs in
So
that.
Desert Eagles.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Desert Eagles,
because of 12, because of
50 Beowulf, your actual 50 caliber.
Smith & Wesson SW.
Yeah, your 500 Smith & Wesson.
500 Smith & Wesson, 50 BMG.
Yeah, and then obviously
that
your 50
weird
BMG.
50 cal Glock.
All right, keep going.
yeah, this is getting good. They're really searching for ways to say magazine in here without saying magazine.
Keep going.
It's awesome. It shall be unlawful for any person to possess a large capacity ammunition feeding device.
So a piece of plastic with a spring in it.
Oh my God. Subparagraph A shall not apply to the man or possession by the United States or a department or agency of the United States or the state or a department, agency, or political subdivision of the state, or the possession by law enforcement officers employed by such an entity for the purpose of law enforcement, whether on or off duty. So if you're a licensed cop, then you can have a high-capacity magazine.
Oh, because that's just what they need.
In the possession by an employee or contractor of a license under Title I of the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, on site for, well, I guess an atomic missile is bigger than 50 caliber, right? I don't think that's what you're talking about. This is to guard a site, to guard a nuclear site. If you're a private contractor guarding a nuclear site, then you can have capacity.
Did they describe what a high capacity is yet?
Not yet.
Okay, keep going.
High capacity ammunition feeding device, you mean?
Yes.
That's amazing. The manufacturer or possession by a licensed manufacturer, licensed importer for the purpose of testing or an experimentation authorized by the Attorney General, or the manufacturer for or possession that provides firearm training and that is registered by the Attorney General or the possession by an individual to possession is providing firearm training during and at the location of the training. So you can have the high-capacity ammunition feeding devices at the training academy thing. Large-capacity ammunition feeding device defined. Here we go. This is what you're waiting on, right, Mike?
Yep.
Here we
This is what
go.
I was waiting for. This part is hilarious.
This is this good stuff. The term large capacity ammunition feeding device means a magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, or similar device that has the capacity of or that can readily restored and converted to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition, but does not include an attached tubular device designed to accept and capable of operating only with 22 caliber rimfire ammunition. Basically, the 22 rifles that you fill the tube and the pump 22 rifles.
It's a Henry.
Like Grandpa's 22.
Well,
Whoever knowingly violates Section 920, not less than $50,000, not more than $100,000, imprisoned not less than 10 years, and not more than 20 years, or both.
For a piece of plastic.
Whoever knowingly violates Section 922D2 shall be fined not less than $10,000. Basically, you're going to jail. So there it is.
Jesus.
There it is, folks.
How do people
The
have time to
Democrats
write something that ridiculous?
Have control of the House and the Senate, and that's what they're pushing.
Quick question. So does that mean that, like, let's say, like, congressmen and stuff like that, if they would they have to follow through all of this absurdity to for them to own firearms, or is it just for the working man?
No,
Did you read that?
That's what I figured. Yeah,
they're in the government.
Oh yeah, so it
So
doesn't
they're
apply
fine.
to them. It's just us working class individuals.
yeah, it bears the question as to what communities this affects the most,
Yeah.
and that's not a solid, plan. I don't think it's going to be.
Well, it's going to affect low-income inner city families the most.
Yeah, I mean,
It's also going to affect anyone that works for a company that makes civilian firearms and ammunition. They're going to be out of a job.
Well, good, because this isn't going to adhere to them.
How many people lost their job when Slide Fire was forced to shut down?
I don't know. That should have been something that you were Googling.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You have the device right there in front of you, man.
That's what I was doing. I wrote down a bunch of questions.
See, what you do is you don't say how many jobs did Slide Fire lose. What you say is, I just Googled that Slide Fire lost.
Could be that. I mean, you can. Oh yeah, I'll take.
All I ask is that if this
get
absurd
a
bill was to ever be passed and we
Hey, why are
get
you
our-
janking my sodas, man?
we get our things, just if we go to the range, remind me ahead of time so I can fill out the forms that I might be partaking in the firing of
I'm gonna find a grapefruit
y'all's
one.
firearms, because I'll probably forget and then go to jail, and then my life will be over.
Tyler Shields.
Oh, is he in the?
Yeah, he says he's trying. In these trying times, I look to our Lord and Savior David Koresh for the answers.
Oh my!
Pretty sure that dude was a pedophile. So
Yeah,
congrats
pretty
on that
much.
dumbass comment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on, man, it's a joke.
Not only. Hey, it wasn't me. It
I
was
didn't
one
say
of
it was
our
you.
Who said something?
commenters. I don't.
8
Tyler.
employees, $7 million of revenue.
Who?
Slide Fire.
I
And
mean,
that's the bump
I
stock
understand
guys,
where
right?
you're the point that you're trying to make, but I think, I mean, it
But you
affects all communities all around, but directly gun owners itself, yeah, it's going to affect the industry.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
all,
Those guys, I mean, that's a skilled trade. I mean, they can find. I don't know. That's not always like a big talking point for me.
Well, I mean, you said it earlier that, we were talking about the types of firearms that were covered in the bill, which are basically they Googled a bunch of military-style weapons and threw them. If you have enough money to own a certain type of firearm, then all these stuff won't matter. Well, guys like you and me and others, I don't have that kind of money. to do all that stuff to own the guns that I have.
No, like
I
an
have
FNC costs about like $2,700.
But the point I'm trying to
So,
make is the point I'm trying to make is this is going to affect middle to lower income families more than it's going to affect, say,
No, it
some
doesn't.
rich
It,
millionaire
it
who can
affects
pay
the
lawyers
proletarian and it puts the power back in more of the power into the elite.
off. Oh, absolutely, it does.
You're a
You're gonna-
psychopath for even thinking
you're
that,
gonna
but
have
it's
to
like
spend-
it's systematic, right? Is
Yeah.
it not?
You're gonna have
It's
to
totally
spend-
systematic.
You're gonna have to spend probably thousands of dollars just to get the licensing and everything else before you can even purchase the firearm, and then per firearm of $200, which they want to make. Did the bill say they want to make that retroactive for every? existing
You have
firearm?
You have 3 months.
Yeah.
You have 3 months. If the bill passes and is enacted, everybody that owns a firearm must register and pay for all the fees and get licensed and everything within 3 months
per firearm.
per firearm,
So if you own 10 firearms, it's $2,000
at least,
Yes.
because you have to insure each one of them.
Wait, how much did you say you'd have to pay, Leland? Like $2,000?
Your math is off.
200 tax stamp times 10 firearms. But yeah, then you have to add the insurance and everything else.
Baby.
Okay, you would probably have to spend about $50,000.
Easily sounds like a baby, man.
We'd have to get an OnlyFans account and stuff to pay for all that.
Let's do it. Guns galore.
So
I'm
here-
sure there's a market for like cleaning the lint and jam in between toes.
We could just make an
to do
OnlyFans account where Davis.
Maybe there's
dresses
some poor bastards that,
provocatively and
like,
cleans
just-
firearms.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, Mike.
They'll just be shirtless.
Yeah,
just-
watch me clean this foul.
We'll have like a green screen behind you. You're doing it all in front of like a waterfall and in the
I'll
forest.
just be wearing like a mankini, and I'll just like
There's
strap
just like critters jumping around and
I'll
tripping.
strap like a like my little toothbrush that I use
If
for
it
gun
pleases the
cleaning,
crown, that is awesome.
and I'll just like kind of
Yeah, that's what I
Well
named
done,
it.
producer.
Caress the PTR. Right?
Well done.
No, the entire time you were reading this, I'd zone out for a little bit and just kind of like take in the words that you were saying, and then imagine like a squire standing upon like a box or a pedestal, just like reading it all this off of a scroll.
If it pleases
You know,
the crown.
Yeah,
I should have done it, and then I should have done it like a dramatic reading.
Now, here's
know,
a question.
you should write that up. Do it.
In general, the Attorney General of the Bureau Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives shall establish a system for licensing the possession of a firearm or ammunition in these United States.
You know, for
All right.
all
Fluff,
this,
fluff, fluff, fluff.
you know, I have never really like had a want to go get an appeal to heaven flag, but now I want one just to like have outside at all times, just to be angry about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like John Locke, bro, you was kind of spot on because this is like some, you know, this is now looking more like what people had to deal with in the Revolutionary War.
So let me
Against
ask you
the
this,
English.
though. I mean, this is on paper. It's been introduced.
with the T
It hasn't
tax.
gone. It hasn't gone into. It hasn't gone past the reading on the floor, according to US.gov. What are the chances? Do you think any of this is going to make it through the House and the Senate?
I think it's too radical. I think right now, with them, claiming that they want to heal the country, I think this will just further drive a wedge and kind of ostracize not only, the political right, but even like the political libertarian, even left libertarians. There's people that are in minority groups and even liberal gun groups that are against the radical it is.
I could still see it going because a lot of Democrats obviously do not care about anything. At all.
So you see
Period.
this bill going through as is with no amendments?
I could see it. I can legit seeing it go through the House easily. Like 100%. Going through once it hits, the Senate, that'll be super hard. But yeah, I can see this going through the House easily. And it's not like any other gun control that I've seen, where stuff got introduced. So it was super like, hey, this is a really horrible idea.
Well, wasn't this introduced in 2012?
No,
2013?
That was a different one.
15.
No, this one was introduced this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
This is
I'm-
like a
I'm-
month
I'm-
old.
No, I know, but
So I'm
didn't
reading
she
about
reach?
the,
I just remember her.
the bill in 2013
Yeah,
15 Democrats, 1 independent, and all the Republicans except Senator Mark Kirk voted against the ban. So realized they would lose re-election if they voted for this.
Yeah, the last one.
See what happens
it
when
went,
you look stuff
it
up?
went through the House and ended up in the Senate. And the Senate killed it.
Yeah, see what happens when you just don't ask an arbitrary question to a room full of guys who.
No.
You came with the information, Leland. That's what we need you to do.
Nice.
That's why I pay you to be here.
You don't pay us to be. You guys are
gonna
getting
say,
paid.
hey.
Shh.
He pays us with his presence. It's not very much.
I pay you
but
with soda water.
I want some soda
I
water.
want some soda water.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
You say I'm paid to be here,
absolutely
so where's my soda
ridiculous.
water?
I mean,
Well,
Damn.
So
my
Leland,
contract.
what do you see, Leland? You're our registered Republican.
I do see it go through the House, but I do see that.
So you think it'll pass the House?
I think it'll pass the House because of how radical the House is. 50-50 Senate. 50-50
So all the moderate Democrats who don't want to be reelected will vote for this to go
I mean,
through the
you
House.
say
Squad
that, but
was-
then you look at states like Washington and California, which Washington is about to have stricter gun laws than California, and they're able to get by. And a lot of Democrats,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. If I can get to my point here, is they don't care. They're like, well, if we don't get reelected, at least our gun control measure passed. Or a lot of Democrats are just going to be like, well, fine, I guess I'll bend over and take this one. That's the outlook on these things. And I see a lot of people just not caring
Patty?
and just pushing it because
I'm-
they will.
I mean, I don't see it getting. If it did, they're gonna need a lot. They're gonna need to build some more fucking prisons, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't see it making it through the
Well,
Senate.
here's my kind of conspiracy theory. They're legalizing pot, which means they're going to have to let a lot of people go out of the prison system.
Yeah.
Now, the industrial prison system, the private prison system, needs prisoners. So that's why.
So this is how they're gonna get them.
and this is how they're going to replace the nonviolent pot smokers who they're going to release.
Yes, the
With-
nonviolent pot smokers are going to be replaced with the already estranged and kind of annoyed
Gun owners.
gun
and
owners.
there's a lot more gun owners than pot smokers.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Where did you get that data from?
One more question. This
Did
bill,
you already said?
Yeah, I heard him.
where does this fall on shall not be infringed?
Oh, this is a huge infringement.
Yeah, actually, that was my question. Is that like, how do the sanctuary states work? Because I know.
Okay, so I actually have insight on that. So basically, a lot of the sanctuary states and counties that are like in stupid states that are like, well, fuck this, we're not going to enforce it. Like in parts of Colorado, is basically the federal government to go and kick rocks. Like Kansas is like a prime example in Idaho. They're like, if you make a machine gun
What are you doing?
in Idaho and you don't tell the federal government about it, it's yours and we don't care.
Oh, that's already on the books in Idaho because I know
Yeah.
there's a law, the Texas legislature this go around.
Which is like the same thing. And it's the same thing up in Kansas. And basically, they're going to tell any feds, like, hey, we're not going to help you and we're not going to enforce any of this. We're not going to give you any of our information and we're going to ask you to leave. The only state that has active measures against it is like Alaska and Idaho, where they literally will take people who work for the ATF and U.S. Marshal Service and FBI and detain them and ask them to leave.
Well, didn't
So-
Texas have something similar just recently, too?
Yeah, they're trying to get it introduced, and it needs to go and pass already because that would be, definitely cool of them.
Hey, bring 3 of those out here.
But yeah, like it needs to go through, and that at least that'll sort of help. But that's still not going to completely stop the federal government from knocking on your door.
Nice.
Okay, so here's Mike Allen. So there's 380
Lift it up.
million Americans, according to the outgoing census, but there's 393 million guns. If each one of those guns requires a $200 tax stamp, that means the federal government raises for itself $78,600,000,000, which doesn't even come close to covering any one of these trillion-dollar omnibus COVID spending bills. But still, government's broke and they need the money. So this is
It's an $80 billion tax.
Yeah.
Stupid.
At least
So,
an $80 billion.
Their plan, again,
This is
if
their
this
plan.
is if
What's
this
their
is their
plan?
plan, if this becomes a mainstream, like, hey, this is another popular theory as to why they're doing this. Their plan is to go after gun owners, and I'm not. I'm not trying to be like, flamboyant about this or anything like that. Like, I'm not trying to be agitating. It's just a simple question. It's like, what is your plan exactly? Like, you're just going to make examples of people, but then what people are you going to make examples of?
And how much pushback are you going to get?
And how much pushback are you going to get? And how long is it until people start having open carry marches at like federal buildings?
Well, here's how I see this playing out. I don't think this is going to pass the House, and I don't think it's going to pass the Senate. It's probably going to die in the House. Because here's why. Here's some flaws in it that I'm sure I'm not an elected official, but I'm sure the elected officials, this has crossed their mind. One, anytime a law is passed, consideration has to be brought and discussed about how it's going to be enforced. Now, most of the cops I served with, all of the cops that I know personally, are all pro Second Amendment. When I was serving with Austin, and Acevedo came down with that wild, we're going to go get everybody's guns, to a man, all of us said, we're not going to do that. I don't know who you're going to get to go do that. So it kind of died as an idea, because he wanted to go guns from, in the city. He wanted to have a city ordinance, basically. It said you couldn't own a firearm inside the city of Austin, and that didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere because he went first to the rank and file, us, who are going to have to be the ones to enforce it. And we basically said, yeah, we're not going to. So, and that died. And really, it didn't even get down to our level. It stopped at the commander level and the chief level. It's like, okay, that's not going to happen, because this is Texas. Because even liberals in Texas own guns. Now,
That's a no for me, dog.
And the most, being an actor, I'm surrounded people, and to a man and woman, they all are pro-gun. Now, the radical progressives that have moved into Austin, who don't venture too far out of Austin, they might be anti-gun. But most of the folks that I talk, the ones that are truly anti-gun, still, I was like, well, I don't like guns, but this is Texas. How are you? So what you're telling me is that, say the feds get Rancher Bob out there on his 7,500 acre ranch out in West Texas, and he didn't register his firearms, but his ex-wife said, well, he's crazy and he's got firearms, so they're going to go out to Rancher Bob's ranch and enforce this.
They're going to be like,
there's going to be a lot of people going on Copperhead Road and not coming back. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So there's an enforcement aspect of it that's almost impossible by any form of law enforcement. You have
that door open?
You have states that.
What?
What happened?
You smell like a gas station bean burrito.
I didn't do nothing, man.
Dude.
Oh, he came through and he freaking.
Glad we're out here.
Hey, he freaking crop dusted me the other day, dude. Just walked in and I was playing a video game. He's like, "Hey, man, just thought I'd come in here." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can taste it.
Peeled the skin off my eyes. That's how.
I'm
going
to
to
bring a slingshot in here. You keep doing that, I'm going to bring wine corks and shoot them at your tank.
Make sure you get it registered first.
Don't make me grab my slingshot because I have one now.
So anyway, the enforcement aspect of it is going to be very hard to do because, it's going to take massive resources to chase. And really what it would take would be a collection of gun owners to say, pound rocks, I'm not going to do it. And you're right, there might be some examples, but what if the first couple of examples fight back?
Like
Yeah.
the Bundys? Or
Like the Bundys?
Well, I was gonna say, like, yeah,
Ruby Ridge?
Ruby
Ridge
Ridge,
or
yeah, Randy
Waco.
Weaver, yeah.
And to tell you the
Well,
truth,
Waco, I mean,
or
yeah, I guess.
Waco, but Waco.
Same under of
Yeah, well, Waco was just handled wrong tactically.
They
But
wanted to make an example out of it.
But they wanted to make
Janet Reno wanted to
Operation
make an
Showtime.
example.
they
and
wanted to
literally
make an
burnt down a
example,
facility.
and that was the first.
Yeah.
That was the first ATF style raid like that, and they got all their guns and they got all their toys and they
That
got all their
was-
tactics and they wanted to go try it out. And even though David Koresh walked out the front door, I was like, "Hey guys, hold on a minute,
He was alerted by the TV news. Lost.
No, he came out the front door at the beginning of it.
Right,
To give up, and they shot at him, and so he dove back in. They could have just had him right there. It could have been over.
That's the second style one. The first one, if you remember, was Ruby Ridge, where Randy Weaver and his buddy,
Just up there living.
Weaver was pretty much, they set him up on bogus charges. Then they killed his wife, kid, and dog, shot his friend who survived, and they also fucked with Randy Weaver, who should not have been fucked with.
No.
And anyway, they ended up
They
killing
basically
like 2 US
trapped him
Marshals.
with a sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah, they tried to say he had a sawed-off shotgun and explosives, of which both of those were absolutely acquitted. I think the federal government had to pay both of them to fuck off, and they dropped off the face of the earth with no charge. I'm sorry. And then they tried to make it, okay, well, the ATF can stand at Reno, and even though David Koresh every morning would go out and jog 5 miles outside of his compound and facility, and they could have snagged him any day of the week, they decided not to.
The sheriff, when they were setting it up, the sheriff, who was woefully... the sheriff is the highest ranking person in the county. The sheriff had the power to look at ATF and say, you're not going to do this. And ATF would have had to listen to him because he's the highest ranking authority in that county. But he did go to the ATF, and because he didn't really understand, because ATF is so new, he didn't really understand. He was confused about his authority. Now it's very well known that if you go anywhere in Texas, you have to go through the sheriff, and the sheriff can say, no, fuck you. You're not doing that. I'll take care of it. Because the sheriff went to the leader of the ATF and said, why don't I just call the guy? I don't. He can come down to the office, and we don't have to do all this. And it's the ATF was dead. They wanted to do that raid because they had trained for it at Fort Hood. There at the time, I remember them training for it because we supported it. They trained, and it's kind of like one of those things where they didn't want to do all that training and then not be able to go do it. So it has come out that the day of the raid, when they were pulling up the driveway, and Randy not Randy Weaver, David Koresh was notified by the news camera that they were coming. He walked out the front door with his arms up and said, "Oh, I give up," and they shot him. And so he dove back in the house, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah. And
so he could the times before they actually got to the actual shooting. And he had an arsenal. Randy Weaver, have you seen Randy Weaver's guns?
Yeah.
No.
That's pathetic. That's not an arsenal. That's just a bunch of guns.
He had a shotgun and a deer rifle that he used to kill those 2 dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of basically just what I have.
Yeah,
almost.
basically.
Add a pistol
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, the ATF is literally the worst thing.
I guess
the
I need to watch
government
out for the
has
ATF.
Ever.
Well, I think right now, it's all just smoke and mirrors because they're now in charge of a country that is experiencing a pandemic, and they're just trying to kill time until everybody, enough people get vaccinated, acted enough to where they're not focusing. Because ever since Biden's been inaugurated, it's been constant, dominating the news cycle. And maybe it just might be the algorithm on social media and everything like that, but it's all about gun control. And
yeah,
it's
much.
nuts. It's like I thought you guys on,
on
other things, like you're bombing Syria, you're pissing off more Americans, trying to back more people into. It's a very.
We got more.
I don't think it's very conducive to the message that they're portraying.
We're already bombing foreign countries, and we have kids locked in cages.
Yeah, already. No. They are in temporary detention.
Yeah,
but the fact that some of the more liberal Democrats, such as Ilhan Omar, we even had an issue with bombing the bombing.
Ideology was doing when her opposite ideology was doing it.
No, when just recently.
Oh, just recently she did.
Hell,
good.
Yeah, even AOC. Well, this whole thing with
the squad
Kumo
was
now.
The squad's they didn't tell us.
The sexual
so
harassment allegations against Governor Kumo.
And that's
You know,
on,
and even AOC was like, this needs to be an independent investigation.
and that's on top of the fact that he
De Blasio
basically
hates
lied
Cuomo,
about how
too.
many people died in New York.
Oh yeah.
And on top of all that, too, it's just
Yeah.
like the ivory screen, I guess. You know, the curtain's starting to.
Starting to crack a little bit.
Yeah.
Now here's the kicker. Okay, so they're officially reporting 500,000 people died of COVID. That's what the official numbers are. 100,000 or 25% came since January. So
Yeah.
each month,
But according to David Irvin, who's on the OTA group,
Oh yeah.
all those people were already infected and in the hospital prior to the inauguration, so they still count for Trump.
2 weeks, really?
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's 2
Yeah.
weeks. That's 14 days.
14-day gestation.
You want me to break it
So
down
the-
to hours?
so-
I'll have to get the calculator out real quick.
So basically, it's all still Trump's fault. It will be till at least 2022.
I haven't really heard anything about Trump.
It was super,
Oh, he had one hell of a CPAC
Nah.
speech yesterday.
it was super funny.
Yes.
I
bet.
Yeah, where the CPAC stage is basically a Nazi in the shape of
It's a Nazi rune, one, or a Nordic
remember
rune used
Cyrus.
one,
Yes.
and then two, they have this gigantic
Oh my
6'3" golden statue of Trump, as if there's not like biblical verses warning about this kind of type of
about
shit.
ideology or
The
idol worship.
golden calf, yeah.
golden calf,
Thou
that
shalt
was
not
it. Yeah,
worship
yeah.
false idols.
Thou shalt
Leland, I
not
don't know
put
if
any
you're,
God before me.
I don't know if you're a religious person, but there's a lot of evangelicals who are pro-Trump that are just not seeing it before
I
'em.
mean, they're not even trying anymore. And here's the thing:
Hold on.
if I was in charge,
I
of
just
the
pulled up the statue. Did they give him a bulge?
They did.
Dude, look at this. Alex,
They did.
Alex,
Did you
my
see it?
God,
I
dude.
saw it, dude.
dude,
Here's the thing:
He has a
if
bulge,
if
bro.
you're a part of the Republican Party at all, you have to put somebody in charge. They're either getting trolled. I think they're getting trolled, to be honest with you, because nobody intentionally puts a blatant as part of the CPAC
dude,
stage.
right? I know, man.
It's
What
either
the
done.
hell?
What
It's
was
either
it?
done intentionally, and they are Nazis, which I find kind of hard to believe. I'm not
what was
a
the thing on the
Republican.
CPAC stage?
Or somebody that designed the stage was a Democrat or a liberal and trolled them.
Wait, wait,
One
well-
of the two things happened.
Wait, what was it in the shape?
They
of?
are nationalists, and when their
A rune.
party is in power, they are
Nazi
kind
rune?
of socialists. So, by definition, they might not be like Holocaust Nazis, but by practice, Nats suck. I'm just.
I don't know. That's
Just
pretty
throwing it up.
extreme.
It's not a far stretch. Not a far
That's
stretch.
pretty. It is kind of.
Then there's a Nazi rune at their CPAC. So I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Either they are, and the Republican Party is
Yeah.
basically the Nazi Party, or they got trolled.
Have you
Now,
watched-
I think the trolling aspect is a hell of a lot more funny than them actually being Nazis. Because I'm not a Republican, and I don't vote straight Republican, but I have voted for Republicans, and I don't know. I think the media has a lot to do with painting that picture outside of reality.
it's just bad optics.
Personally, but it is horrible optics. So whoever's in charge of the Republican Party, gotta watch out for the blatant Nazi symbols that are being. You might want to check, who's designing your sets.
Yeah, if you see a guy that's wearing like a hoodie that says, what's it called Camp Auschwitz, camp counselor or some shit like that, maybe politely ask him to fuck on off, because
Damn.
You want to disassociate
that's
yourself.
not. It's not somebody that I would be like, hey, either you leave this rally or I'm going to leave this rally, but I'm not going to be associated.
But we're
with
not
this.
going to stay here at this rally
Fuck
with you.
this.
Dude,
Yeah.
they gave him a huge bulge. Jesus Christ.
Hey, put it up, Alex. Just get a
I
picture
can't
of
believe
it.
they
Is
like.
he? I mean,
Can't
Sungla-
tell.
it looks like he's wearing glasses.
Well, I mean, he's wearing flip flops, so I'm assuming he's probably got like some gold.
Is it held in Florida? Is that
CPAC? Yeah,
Where
I
was
think it was in
CPAC?
Florida.
It
held at?
usually was held at the Gaylord
Where was
Conference
it?
Center in Maryland, but because of
Maryland?
What? Not this year, because of the whole COVID restrictions. But Florida.
I just typed it in, and it was
DeSantis is like,
first
we
thing that
don't have
popped
no
up when I
COVID
typed it
restrictions.
in.
Come on down to Florida. So it was in Orlando this year.
So it was in Florida.
It was in
and the
Florida this
statute.
year.
All right.
This,
It was
the
in Florida
statute-
this year, but it wasn't in Florida last year when
Hey,
you started answering my question.
See,
It
Nah,
wasn't.
just
in,
kidding.
it was.
Shit,
it was.
dude.
It was in Gaylord. It
hey,
was
see if you could
yeah. It was
bring
in
up a
Gaylord for
picture
most of its
on the
existence.
scene, Alex, and show our viewers.
They gave him the dong of America.
Trump statue is the Taka CPAC. It was made in Mexico.
No fucking way. That is great.
Isn't that awesome? They couldn't even get a statue with the big bones of the ex-president made in America. They had to go to Mexico.
Well, it's already been outsourced. It's
Yeah.
Has it already been outsourced?
It's already been, yeah.
Has-
it's,
has it?
It's
There's
America
not
last
any-
now. I mean, that's the way Trump said it at the speech.
What-
That's where we went from. We went from America first to all the way back to now America last, and this is a really huge problem.
Wait. In the last 4 years, we went all the way back to America
no,
last?
the past 31 days
Past 31 days.
or 40 days.
3 days.
40 days.
I like it better when that other guy did the Trump impersonation. He was much better.
He was
than
much
Leland.
better.
Yeah, you need a little work there, Leland, but we
We're
applaud
gonna
us.
have him back.
Yeah. So yeah,
That was
that's
a good
that's
guy.
it right there.
Unbelievable.
Enhance.
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 the strategery.
Enhance.
Oh, and before we end the
Yes.
show, I have gifts that I have to hand out that I accidentally spoiled.
You know you're supposed to
already.
give those to us on the day of your wedding, right?
Yeah.
We are.
See, so
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not only are you trying to put your ring on too soon, you're trying to give us the gifts too soon.
So what you're telling me is
well,
that
I've
you,
never been married before.
So what this is telling me is involvement in planning the wedding,
Zero.
Well, no.
and
I was
that,
told
that
that
three
I-
times that he has taken some initiative, it's been
Not good.
And Patrick doesn't understand that as the groom, it is his job not to have any involvement whatsoever in the wedding. Now, if he chooses to, that's fine, but he is not bound by any law, biblical or otherwise, to sober at the appointed time, at the appointed date.
and be drunk by the end of it, right?
To death do
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
part.
It's open bar, right?
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
if you guys
Oh, there you go.
heard that, but
So, well, because Hannah, or not to like drive
I mean,
off topic, but she already
Dude,
passed out her
open up that
bridesmaids
door.
gifts.
She did.
Yeah. I thought that was when you're saying like, hey, I want you to be like my groomsman. I want you to be my best man. That's when you would give them
Dude,
the
we got
gift.
like 6 months? 7
yeah, but
months
it's
to
stuff
go?
you can drink out of. So why not start using it now?
I mean,
All
fair
right.
enough.
Yeah.
fair enough.
All
Fair
right,
enough.
There we
fair enough.
go.
All right, fair enough.
All right,
Plus,
go-
they're badass.
Go ahead. Go.
Doing them now?
If you want to,
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. 1 second. Granted, Alex and Davis already know what they are, but whatever.
I got mine. When Gaskin gave us ours, it was
At the
it was,
wedding,
it
right?
was like at the wedding. Yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah.
It was like leather custom koozies.
Custom koozies.
So now we're waiting on. For everybody that doesn't know, both Patty and Alex are getting married.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to be doing that fall? Not
It's a
getting
nice
married.
box.
very, very nice box.
Yeah, it looks like a Samsung smartphone box.
Swanky Badger.
I like.
Yeah,
Man, I
well,
got some good guess.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, Patty, we did have another like 40 minutes until the show is over, right?
well,
All right.
I wasn't going to go 2 hours tonight, so this is fine. This is a good way to end it.
Oh, what two?
Oh, it includes a funnel.
Did you open yours already?
Oh my god. Did I open mine already?
Yeah.
No.
Well, goddamn.
Oh, nice.
Well, how come my box is smaller than
Wait,
yours?
who's going to be the best man at your wedding?
Alex is the best man.
Ah,
I get to have the honors of being the best man.
I'm down at the end.
you're the awkward groomsman.
I'm the awkward groomsman. That's me. That is correct. So this is.
That's cool,
Yeah.
man.
Y'all are the operators.
So we open them now or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
Oh,
bud.
nice.
I know, right?
Oh, it's got my name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking A.
That was a beautiful flask, man.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I was like, what can I get my best man and groomsmen that is something that they will probably actually
So
use
it's got my actual
At the
name on it.
at the wedding.
at the wedding.
At the wedding.
the
Oh,
wedding.
I tell you what. Now that we have these, during the ceremony, we must all, as they kiss, we will pull our flasks out and take a swig.
I'm totally down for that.
That is happening.
Alex is gonna have to drink out of a tumbler.
Oh, you got a tumbler? His
And
best
he
man got a
decanter.
tumbler?
I got a decanter.
You got a decanter, yeah.
That.
That's the spout that you put in there so you can pour your
So you can
booze
pour
in
your
there
booze in it and not
so it
spill
doesn't
any.
spill.
Ah, the funnel.
So now you can have
This is
fancy
very cool.
booze.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Patrick.
now what's
Thank
cool
you.
is I'm gonna have, not only will I bring my own custom koozie to your weddings,
Hell yeah.
This is
weddings
very cool, man.
is
Very
for
cool.
drinking beer, but I'm also gonna have a flask filled with scotch.
There you go.
Hey, and I will get the scotch,
I don't know how
and it's going to be Lagavulin 16.
No, I'm gonna go buy my own secret scotch.
Yeah, now I just got to
My
give
secret scotch is very
Aaron
good.
and Okie
What
theirs.
scotch is it?
The last time I went bought expensive scotch, I think I got like Glenlivet 20 or 21.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
It was like I got it during a sale, or the dollar sale that they do at Twins every year.
Oh, the
very
dollar
good.
under case price.
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
It's a dollar sale.
Yeah, so
What
basically,
are you talking
Buying
about?
Glenlivet for $1.
yeah, I was over there with
What?
That was over there with
Sold.
Patty, and that's when he got like a thing of Don Julio 1942.
Yeah.
And I got a super nice thing of scotch, and then me and Patty went back to his apartment, and we got blasted. We're
That-
like,
that was
hey, we
the-
got the super
yeah.
expensive booze. For
That was
pretty
the
cheap.
night I
Oh,
bought Don Julio 42 for the first time.
And then he drank the
expecting
whole
to
thing
have
in
it
a
for a
night.
month. Drank all but like that much.
Yeah.
And got so blacked out that when I woke up the next morning, I thought I drank all my tequila. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
And I'm
Because I had
like-
no hangover. And
Yeah.
Davis was like, nah, fam, you drank that whole
You
thing.
drink your whole thing of tequila. Like he like yells at me as I'm asleep, like cradling my bottle of scotch because I was empty. I was sad because it was
Yeah.
empty.
I've never gotten a hangover off
And
of
you
good
got no
tequila.
body fat.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
to
Me
Yeah.
neither.
So Patty got wasted, and Hannah was like, "You guys literally drink all your expensive booze." Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got this new desk, and I know you guys see it.
you need to cut this part
we're
out.
gonna-
This DMV
Yeah,
desk.
I'm gonna modify that so that people.
It's a nice desk.
And this I got from the Rockdale Municipal. I'm proud of, and this is this right here.
It's a rock.
I'm
It's a
sure
piece of
you've seen it.
concrete is what it is.
This is a piece of concrete that Alex wrote on when he was a kid, but this is an actual piece of the Berlin Wall that I took off the wall myself.
I was gonna say, was that the Berlin Wall?
So I when it was coming down in 1989, I went and played football in Berlin in one of the sections that had been
It'd been torn down.
torn us up. This is an actual piece of the Berlin Wall, which has been in hanging out in boxes and in closets, but now has
I
prominent place on.
I have a confession to make about that piece of Berlin Wall there.
What's that?
Every year, off a small piece and give it to my history teacher for that year.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be like, yeah,
Hey,
that's
as
not
long as
really
there's-
the
that's
one I
not
lost.
the real
That's
Berlin
not the
Wall.
real Berlin
Yeah,
Wall. I lost it years
Oh,
ago.
that's just a curve. That's just a piece of curve.
No,
This is
no,
not
no.
the
I was
Berlin Wall.
I was waiting for that. I was
Oh my
waiting. It's like,
God,
oh
no.
fuck,
I
he's
would-
gonna embarrass
dude.
me by
Dude,
saying
he's
that
like, this
he went
isn't-
and picked this up from a construction site
he's
down
like,
the street.
No, that is
I
actually
threw
like one of my favorite things about like one of my favorite stories that you've told about your tour, not tour, but being stationed in Germany and
yeah.
everything like that. Like how badass that is. That because I see photos from there, man, and it's such a huge thing.
Oh.
It was such a huge event, and like just
The fact that he
Well,
owns
it
a
was-
piece
it
of
was-
history.
fuck you, Marx.
well, it's,
Suck it, Lenin.
It's funny because when I was stationed there in 1989, the wall came down that fall.
Yeah.
That fall after we got there.
It was like November 3rd, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got there like in I think
The fall of
and
the wall
and
was
Alex's
in the
mother and I
fall.
were both in the military, so we both got stationed at the same. We got stationed at Erzkonsern. They called them Concerns, which is a German word for base, basically, which was in the state of Hesse, about an hour from Frankfurt. And I played for a football team, and one of the teams we played was the Berlin Eagles. So we had to go to East Berlin or West Berlin through East Germany at the time, but this was right before the wall came down, so it wasn't as I guess the
Restricted.
tensions weren't as high.
Yeah,
Because
it was already kind of like
Yeah, because on the way back,
sizzling out.
yeah, on the way back, we would get any Americans that went down the corridor to drive from West Germany to West Berlin. You'd have to drive the corridor, and you were given a certain amount of time to do it, which is way over. I mean, it only took us 2.5 hours, but they had like 4 hours to do it. That take into account breakdowns, stops, and stuff like that. Along the way, they have little turnoffs so you could rest, because the cars in East Germany were horrible cars. So they break down a lot, and they're little 3-cylinder cars. And here I am
Trabants.
Trabants. And here I am in a at the time it was a 1987 Chevy S10. So it was 4-wheel drive, big tires, the whole thing.
Hell
So-
yeah. They had the cab over in the back.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah. The gray one.
Yeah.
So we were driving through, and we'd get shadowed by the German secret police, the East German secret police. They would follow you, and they were obvious about it. I mean, it wasn't like, like the movies where it's like, I think we're being followed. It was obvious they were following us. So on the way back, we were stopping. We had a bunch of beers I played for Medina Valley down west of San Antonio.
Yeah, the Stasi.
Yeah, Bill. Bill Wood was his name. He played linebacker, but the Stasi would follow us. So we were going back, and we had a bunch of beer in the car. And I think your mom was driving, and we were getting hammered drunk on the way back. And we kept pulling over to go to the bathroom because we were drinking all this beer. So the Stasi pulls over behind us down the road because we're stopping. I mean, we're taking the full 4 hours because we're getting drunk. And Bill grabs 2 beers and runs back to the Stasi car. And we're like, oh, shit, we're going to get arrested.
You're going to get shot.
So we ended up drinking beer with the 2 German secret police in us, and they were, they were selling their badges, their little stuff. And here's a funny story. I have the hat somewhere. Oh, there's the East German helmet right there that I got.
Yeah, didn't you trade it for something?
I traded for that, but the hat I traded for is closet. It's after we got done playing the football game, and this is right before the wall came down. When we got done playing the football game, there was a bunch of Russian soldiers that had went to the game, and so we got to meet them after the game and stuff, and they invited us to go drinking. So we went across Checkpoint Charlie, and it was all kind of loose, but we still had
You were improving diplomatic relations.
exactly through vodka. It was called the vodka.
The
Vodka deployment, of course. Drank with these Russian soldiers, and I came back through Checkpoint Charlie with that hat on because I had given him my hat, and he gave me his.
That's
we
awesome.
were blasted drunk, man. And so the U.S. MP had no problem with it. The English guy was like, yeah, crazy Americans, but the French guy, really? He's like, you are out of uniform. I need to have this report on you. And we're like, yeah.
Jesus,
Okay.
nobody likes
All
you.
right, nobody likes the French. We were just being rude Americans at that point. And but yeah, so I got that hat. So somewhere in Russia is a rye hat, and I've got his hat.
Question about your little piece of history
Some
over
bear
here.
is
So when
wearing
they,
it.
when they tore it down and all that stuff, was it technically legal for you to take the
sections of the wall, and this was taken about 100 yards. If you're facing the Brandenburg Gate from the west side, this is about 100 yards to the left. And all along the wall, they had guys that you'd pay them whatever, 2 marks to get a hammer for 5 minutes. And you could bang on the wall. It'd take chunks out. And I got that chunk out of one of the sections of the wall that was up against the building.
Oh, okay. That's
so
cool.
So the people
So
were
you got to actually
people were going
hammer
up there with
against the
hammer.
wall?
Oh yeah, they didn't give a shit. Yeah, they
Oh, so
were
that's-
actually
so you
renting
technically
hammers.
got to like
that
the
was
tearing down.
that was the
of
whole
the
thing.
building. Yeah.
That was the whole thing.
And it wasn't just one wall. There
This
was
is a whole
actually 2
capitalist
walls
move.
and
That's so
and
cool.
a dead man zone between. So which section was that on the?
This was on the western side.
Get your hammers.
But the only part that I was mad about was that a lot of the wall had graffiti on it, and this went up and didn't have any graffiti on it because all the graffiti parts of the wall had already been
taken.
taken. Yeah, they've been taken out.
So here's my question. Did this whole time while you're over here helping to dismantle the oppressive communist establishment, did you say, like, suck it, Gorby? You say, clunk, as you're, like, over here banging your hammer on this wall. I'd be like, telling Gorbachev to suck a fat one. Like, did you do
Well,
any Gorbachev sucking?
You know, to be honest with you, when I was over there partying with the Russian guys, and this is something I found with any army outside of our army that I've had interaction with, guys, you know, and those guys were so much fun just to swap stories with them. All of them knew English.
It's the Chechens you got to worry about.
The Chechens, those Slovaks down there. But these guys were just nice guys. You know, they're in the army like I was, and they did it because they were conscripted. And they
didn't have much of a choice.
They have 2 years of regular duty, and then they're basically the rest of their life they're reservists. So they had a conscription thing, but yeah, they were nice guys. I mean, we arm wrestled and drank. I don't remember a whole lot of the night. Never tried to outdrink a Russian with vodka. That was the lesson that we learned.
Do you ever get like headaches with like numbers being recited or anything like that?
What do they
Just
mean?
a question. The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
But it was, it was a great, and it was fun to go to West Germany in 1989, and then after the Gulf War, after we came back, after Alex was born in Frankfurt, Germany, in 91, to leave a unified Germany. So I went over there, it was East and West Germany. When I left, it was the Republic of Germany.
Federal Republic of Germany.
Federal Republic of Germany. So it was...
It explains my absolute love for republics.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of neat, too, because we did some training because when the East German army, they didn't go away. They honored all their
of the German Democratic Republic.
So when East Germany fell, all the East German soldiers that were still in the army were absorbed into the Bundeswehr and at their same rank. So they did a lot of cross training and stuff like that. But the biggest thing they had to do was introduce them to the awesome military equipment that we have in the West.
Right.
I mean, it's like T-80.
Like, so this is called
Panther
Woodland.
2, yeah.
You're going to have to take off that stitch tarn that you've been wearing for
Yeah, you got to get rid of all your
for
cool
60
uniforms.
years.
Yeah.
Say
But-
goodbye to your Trabant and say
But
hello
they-
to the Mercedes-Benz.
Units from East Germany come and train with us because they used our artillery systems, the M109. So it was neat, and they were all nice guys. They were happy that their country was unified, and
Yeah, towards the end, they really wanted to get back together.
they kind of lost the desire, I
Wow.
think. And
Well, they didn't really have much of a choice, too. Like,
No,
right
they
off the
didn't.
bat, like
Yeah,
it was
they
just
didn't.
like shit.
While all this was happening, Merkel was like, "How do I get Europe all together to be under
German rule.
Yeah, because if you guys remember, Merkel was from East Germany.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
shit.
Now,
Yeah,
she was in East German politics, and now she's head of the EU.
We could call it the EU,
Yeah, and she's like,
but really it's the Fourth
"What
Reich.
if we start an empire that is?"
So Merkel just slapped
voluntary
down
but
that
sort
reverse
of-
Uno card and was like,
Yeah,
Psych.
yeah. Stupid.
like Merkel, stop giving Greece all of our money. She's like, shit, I'm trying.
Yeah, but she's like, "But how do I keep them in the EU?" But
Then of course
what if we
Britain,
don't?
Britain shit all over that plan.
I hope more countries shit out. Like, I think all these countries should start leaving. Like, Poland should
You know-
be like, fuck the EU. Same thing with the Czech Republic.
Isn't
and, like,
Italy
Finland.
also considering
All of it.
And,
Yeah.
All of
France.
it. Italy, France, it was all the European countries. So Germany,
Yeah,
Italy,
they're over it.
France, Spain.
Because
They haven't fought each other in like 70 years. They're like, fuck this, let's go.
Yeah.
Gloves are coming off. They're just like,
All of them.
Yeah, 'cause-
Switzerland. Well, Switzerland.
Switzerland never was.
Switzerland
No, they
maintained
never-
its sovereignty.
Yeah.
it's a bunch of football hoodlums that haven't been able to get into like fights and riots and stuff like
Yeah,
that all year. So
exactly.
The big
they're just
problem-
amped up.
The big problem with the EU, right, is like, then you have like certain countries that want to introduce these arbitrary laws to it, policies, and like it's the same thing that you have here. Like, all right, whatever laws you want in Germany don't apply to what they are in like Finland or like Poland. They're like, we don't care.
Or like Switzerland, and they're like, fuck off.
Yeah, Switzerland just does its own thing, man. I mean,
Hey, who told you can climb up this mountain? Get out, go.
Yeah, Switzerland has
They
two
make
jobs.
watches and offshore bank accounts.
Yeah, like
and they like it
Switzerland's
that
like,
way.
we have banking.
And like sweet firearms.
We have banking, guns, and chocolate to deal with.
And
also, we have
watches.
all of your money, so
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's
And
what
we-
that's what keeps them neutral right there. Is we
They,
are.
they do that and they guard the Pope.
What is it? What Game of Thrones?
and not
What
just
was
with halibuts.
I don't
I have
watch
found
Game of
out.
Thrones.
What was the place in Game of
Halberds.
Thrones that kept
Yeah.
all the money?
The
Halibut.
Pope is
The Iron
guarded
Bank.
by a whole bunch of giant
Don't look
men
at
with
me. I never
flat
watched
fish
Game
that
of
weigh
Thrones.
100 pounds
After what they
each.
did with The Sopranos, I could never watch an
I would
HBO
pay to
series
watch
again
that.
because they're always going
I'd
to screw up
slap
the
somebody
last
with a
season and
halibut
make you
before.
hate it.
So like in the Game of Thrones, the Switzerland's the Iron Bank.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I
hold
didn't
the-
watch Game of
I don't-
Thrones
I don't
because
watch
you
Game
know
of
I have
Thrones
a
I'm not
g-
done.
girlfriend, and you know
Yeah, whatever.
I'm
I'm
single.
not into like
I'm single.
incest.
Oh, I'm thinking about that
What the
show.
fuck is this?
I was
Like, why does
what
it have
the
to
hell?
be? Who puts this in there? You
Dude.
could just do implied. Like, why do we gotta show it to
It's
people?
HBO.
Who cares?
And
Like,
what sucks about it, here's my problem with Game of Thrones. The guy who wrote it, right, wanted to be so much like J.R.R. Tolkien. He like added another R to his name just because he wanted to be, and then he came up with something that sucked.
yeah, Tolkien didn't have to use all that. He didn't have to use sex to
Well, what's-
appeal
what's
to
the-
the
what's
nerds.
the
He
story-
literally
what's
got
the story with
nerds
the
into
last
it,
season?
and then English bands were like, "Holy shit, this nerd shit!"
But
Led
what-
Zeppelin's like, "Hey, if we're not writing songs about Vikings and having sex, we're gonna do it about hobbits and cool shit."
But wasn't what's the story with the last season that they ran out of source material novels, so they had to basically
Probably.
make stuff up, and that's why it was horrible, from my understanding.
I don't know,
watch
but
it.
you're holding your microphone right over your phone. So
Yeah, it was a bummer show. You know what? HBO should just stick to like documentaries. They do really good documentaries,
No, there
and
was
that's
some really
just,
You know,
good
I'm watching
HBO
I'm
series.
watching a documentary on Kim Jong Un right now
You
on
know,
HBO. It's pretty damn
I mean,
good.
HBO had
Watchers
some
was
pretty
pretty
good.
How's
good.
the
really
Mia
good
Farrow
stuff.
documentary?
You know, like The Sopranos, amazing series. Eastbound and Down,
remember
another
that
amazing
amazing.
series.
Yeah.
All right, what things to talk about?
We're trying to get HBO to sponsor us, so we're hyping
Brought
up
to you
HBO.
by
hyping up
HBO.
HBO.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Hopefully,
we can probably get my pillow.
contact your congressman, contact your representatives
You
in the
look
House
like a
and the
pillow,
Senate,
Leland.
and make sure that
Right.
you let them know that HR 127 is garbage, Garbo Town, big
Yeah,
time.
If you
and
haven't
that-
fireballed emails off, you need to now.
send them. I sent at
Yeah.
least 3 today. John Carter is my congressman, and he got an earful.
I
but
sent them to everybody I could think of. Even just like I was like, hey, if they're in Texas, they're getting mailed about.
Yeah.
Everybody
So,
got an email.
I even emailed Beto
yeah.
and said, "This ain't gonna happen, man."
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, you know, if you do send like respectable, you know, like concerning, not concerning, but you know, express your concerns in a respectable way, even if as much as you want to tell them like, hey, eat a dick or whatever. If you do it in a respectable way, like you know, in a formal email,
Yeah.
and they get 1,000 of those a day,
yeah, they're gonna
have to start
thinking.
kind of reevaluating. And what it does is, you know, it gives them perspective of what gives them a broader perspective of the
yeah.
issues
A
that they're
lot of
talking about.
people
Because they
that
probably
buy-
don't have a lot of that kind of respectable interactions with actual, you know, with gun owners. And I think that's a really, really important thing. You know, and over the winter break there, they tried to kind of snowball
A brace ban.
a brace ban like right off the bat while everybody was
And
you
they
know,
got like it was supposed to be open for 6 weeks. Within the first 2 weeks, it got 150,000 replies. Were actually able to be noted because if it had like any sort of vulgarity or it didn't have a reference number, they wouldn't even apply it.
Yeah.
So there was like probably another 200,000 on top of that. They were
probably.
like, fuck
Yeah.
this shit, it's horrible. You know, like basically anytime anything like this pops up, I basically tell them, hey, your people felons overnight for no arbitrary reason.
Yeah.
Other
well, and then it's
feel good.
taxation without representation
Well,
too.
yeah.
Like you know, I'm not. You can't. It's
You're turning an investment into a tax liability because a lot of people
Yeah.
purchased firearms as a collector, like collecting cars.
Yep.
I mean, I guess yeah.
I guess. I mean, that's
Yeah.
That's kind of.
If you're into that, I'm not really
you're
into
into
that.
that.
I
Me
just
neither.
want to be proficient in my rights.
Exactly.
I mean, I also do.
But
I
anyway.
like to
collecting. I
take
got a
advantage
cool
of my
collection.
rights and
Make sure
know,
you contact
not
your,
take them for
your
granted.
representatives. Make sure you voice your opinion on this. I don't think it'll get through the Senate or the House to the Senate just might, and this could be a game changer for our country, not just for people in Texas or anywhere. This could really widen the divide even wider. So make sure you make your voice. Thank you for stopping by. We'll be back next week with more great content. Save us, put the notifications on, and we'll see you next week. I'm Mike Allen. This is the Radio Man Cave, and you have been on the air.
Great job, team. Head back to base for debriefing and cocktails.